So today we're going to take the opportunity to talk to you guys a little bit about getting started RVing, getting started full-time. It took us a while to get everything working right. We wish we would have known a few things, and so we're going to share them with you, and hopefully you get a little bit out of it.
Yeah.
If you're planning to do anything remotely like this.
And it's different for everybody too. That's why you can't just answer it all at the very beginning. You got to experience it and figure out what's good for you.
Yeah. A lot of you showed love for the kids' drawings, so we're having the kids just draw random things like their favorite stuff, and we'll flash them now and then for entertainment purposes. Our families were across the country, so that's one of the big things that affected us. Is we lived in San Diego, California, and Brian's family is out of Louisville, Kentucky, and mine is out of South Florida. We had to change everything.
And we were in San Diego for 23 years.
That definitely has a lot to do with it, is how much roots you have where you're leaving and where you're going, and if you have any assistance or place to land where you are going.
If you're in your hometown and you have family around you and you're getting ready to sell your house and RV full-time, it's different because you can just throw this there, throw that there, you can have your medical set up, and you can be on your way.
We're a really good worst case scenario because we had to change everything.
It was hard.
Yeah. And it was 2,000 miles away from any kind of support that we could have.
And he did most of it.
One of the things that you're going to need to do is you set up your residence. So if you're moving from one state to another and you need to set up a new residence, you can do it either with a friend, family member, and that's a no-brainer if they allow you to use their address in order to set up all kinds of things. But if you don't have that, then you need to look for a service. There are several organizations that offer services, and there are certain states that are prime for these kinds of things, like North Dakota and Texas and Florida. I've listed those resources in the description below. We moved to Florida because we wanted to start we wanted to move our business down here. So that was one of the deciding factors to make Florida our state of residence. It's Brian's consignment store. The services allow you to have a residential address so that almost everything can be satisfied except one thing, and that is banking. After 9/11, Congress passed the Patriot Act, and it tells banking institutions that people have to have a physical address when they do business with banks. And these services don't count, even though they are physical addresses, and it's always manned by a human being. Meaning when you deliver a package or a piece of mail, there's always a person there to receive it. It's not like a P.O. box where you just put it in a box. So even though that's the case, banks are not allowed to accept these services as your address for banking purposes. If you go in to the bank and talk to the manager, we've done this once already, and because we were told if you go in and talk to the manager, they'll actually change it to the service, but it has to be like a person on person. So something about the law allows them to do it if it's person to person. So that's for you to decide how you're going to do a permanent residence when it comes to banking. Everything else, including health care, insurance, vehicle registration, license, everything else in your life,
voting,
everything else can be done through these services. So it's a huge help. So that's that part of it. There's also schooling. So if you have kids, if you don't have kids, of course it doesn't apply. If you have kids like we do, then you have to apply to the rules of that state. Every state is different. There's a family that wrote a little book. They contacted all 50 states in order to find out what their rules were for homeschooling. We got the book to find out from them what they said Florida told them. And we also looked at the Florida website in order to find out how to register for homeschooling and stuff like that, and they weren't off. There's states that don't require you whatsoever to just tell them you're homeschooling. They say, okay, click.
Mm-hmm. They all want something different.
Yeah, they all want something different. So, and some states are more involved.
Some want you to turn in homework at the end of the year, and some don't. So there's just a big difference from state to state.
So if you have kids, depending on the state you're in, this book is going to really shortcut a lot of research for you.
It did for us. Ooh, a fun one.
I don't know. Storage.
Storage.
Storage. Everybody says they get rid of all their stuff.
You know, even that's different when you come from where we came from. So it's we were 2,000 miles away, so we basically had to get rid of half our stuff.
Yeah. To put everything on the table, we had 2 storage units when we left. If you guys have heard of pods, there's another one called Rat Pack.
Yeah, we gave half of our stuff away.
Oh God!
Donated at least half, if not more.
Yeah.
And in the end, by the time we left San Diego, we had 2 places with our storage.
The pod was 16 feet by 8 feet by 8 feet. That's the cube.
And it was packed like bricks, like sardines. It was we used it all.
We used all 3 dimensions of that box, and when the driver came to pick it up, they say not to load it up with more than 6,000 pounds, and the truck couldn't lift it. So he says we can't get it up in the truck. And I was like, we had put purposely all the really heavy stuff towards the door. So I ran in the house to tell Brian, hey, we got to unload this stuff. As we came out, he already had it off the ground. He had put down the big feet that these trucks have, and he had it off the ground.
Yeah, and it wasn't. He didn't say we can't lift it. He said you're over your. This weighs more than it's supposed to. You're over your limit. So that's when Aaron came in running. Oh, we got to get this stuff out.
He made $40 on a bad joke, that's for sure.
Which is still fine. It was worth $40. We didn't have to dig anything out.
Please take it.
But they might say that to a lot of people just to get a nice tip out of you.
Yeah. The actual machine has a 10,000 pound limit, so we were 9,600 pounds. So that's how much stuff we took from the house. But after being in San Diego for 22 years, we stuffed it in a really small space. We gave away so much stuff.
New stuff,
crazy.
stuff.
We put a ton of stuff in Brian's store. Thank goodness we had that outlet.
Yeah, we sold a lot of the nicer stuff. I just put it in my store and sold it while we were there because it took us 6 months to, get everything out of the house. So we just gradually just put it all in the store, most of it.
The dirty little secret to all this is that as far as we have been able to tell, everybody keeps stuff somewhere. Either a box somewhere, or a storage unit, or an entire house.
Or their family, they put their stuff at the family.
I mean, we have met people that have kept their entire houses. They rent the house out, and then they keep like the garage full of their stuff. Mm-hmm. People do it all kinds of different ways.
Different ways to do it.
But the one thing in common that we found is, regardless of what people say, everybody seems to keep stuff back. Maybe we're just making excuses for having kept stuff back. I don't know. So what we ended up doing last year is we had the pod delivered to Brian's sister's house, and she, in her generosity, allowed us to use part of her basement to store the stuff. Because your stuff being in a warehouse somewhere, if it is sentimental and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it could be there today, but it doesn't mean it's going to be there tomorrow. It could get damaged from weather. Just different things.
What's the point? At a certain point, you start thinking, if this is going to topple over.
Well, and the longer you leave it there, you're like, why do I have this stuff?
Yeah, you start forgetting what you had in there. Did I really need to pack this hammer?
But it's my favorite hammer.
Based on where you're at, you have to decide how much you draw down, how much you sell, how much you give away, how much you store. There'll always be something you store. Very few people we've met on the road have literally no storage.
From the beginning, you're going to have some kind of storage.
And a lot of it is personal stuff. I mean, it's hard to get rid of stuff that your mom gave you when you were 10 years old.
Remember that one lady, she said after a few years of full-time, and they had all kinds of paintings and everything that they had stored. Yeah. So they finally just got the storage and just dispersed everything to their families and let them have all the paintings and stuff that they had collected over the years.
Another subject that we wanted to discuss with you is money. Gas and fees are one of your biggest expenses on the road. So everybody has a different strategy for dealing with how expensive these things can get. We've seen campgrounds that go into the 80s and the hundreds.
There's so many levels as to how expensive, it's hard to explain.
I think a lot of people like the boondocking idea because that's the least expensive.
And they'll tell you it's because, there's something nice about not having to spend money to stay there.
Yeah. I always describe it as free food. For some reason, free food just tastes better.
It does. It tastes better.
So free camping is just like free food. Well, we'll talk about traveling and boondocking some other time. That'll be a whole show.
But the main thing is when you're getting ready to go and do your full-time RV, expense is a big thing to look at as far as where are you going to be staying, and just be aware of how much those places that you want to stay at, how costly they are. because you know it adds up week to week.
The expenses are just so different than being in a house. In a house, you have this set of expenses that you've known pretty much all your life, and when you start full-time on RVing, you get rid of some expenses that you feel are suffocating. Property taxes if you own a home, rent, mortgage, you know, certain kinds of services that you get, gas and electric.
Everybody's getting really hit hard on that stuff. Right?
Yeah, especially electric and water. You get rid of these things and you think, oh, all the money I'm gonna save. And then all these other expenses that you're not used to come on board. This is all relevant, right? Depending on how you lived before and your lifestyle before and your lifestyle as a full-time family, it all depends on how you do it.
Yeah, a good way to look at that is I had a lady the other day at my work say, at the store, say, I told her that we full-time RV, and they were like, oh, I want to do that. And she actually thought that the only expenses, she's like, you just have gas expense, right? You know, don't fool yourself into thinking that you have no expenses. It adds up. There's different things to pay out there.
Yeah, it comes down to how you want to do it. The last major block that we wanted to discuss was, we put it under support because we really didn't know how to label this. Basically, it's fallback plans and what we're calling sanctuary. So fallback plans is what happens when you have something come up that you didn't anticipate. 2 weeks after we started this, actually 2 weeks on the road, because what we ended up doing, since we never done this, is that we went to this KOA in San Diego and we stayed there about a month. We split it up, and when we went to Lake Jennings.
Yeah, but we stayed in San Diego
for about a month to learn how to do this, to learn
our system.
Yeah, to learn our system, to learn how to drive around,
to learn how to just live in an RV, you know,
tie up loose ends. You know, we wanted to be home still. So we stayed in San Diego for about a month. We left towards the end of January because we started doing this in December 2016.
Just started doing what?
Full-time.
Yeah,
we sold the house in December 2016.
Yeah.
And then we just took off, you know, on the road for the first time, leaving San Diego. That was the day we talked about for months and months and months, because it took us over 6 months to get all this train.
That's almost tear-jerking. You know,
I know.
Like, and then we just took off.
And then we took off. I
still remember a little scary.
Yeah, I know. I still remember going down the highway. Past Arizona into New Mexico, and we wanted to, already the call of the mountain was there. I mean, we would see these mountains and we would see these remote places, and we just really wanted to go there. One of the very first times that we ever boondocked was this state park in New Mexico where you had to climb up to like 5,000 feet right out of Las Cruces.
And on the way there was a day or two that you had your tummy pains, and we just thought it was a little tummy pain. You know how you get them every now and then, you know. And then we get there, and
we are up on this mountain. It is Saturday of all things, and it is nighttime, and the pain has intensified slowly throughout the day. And by 11, to make a long story short, by 11 p.m. I just couldn't take the pain anymore.
He was curled up in bed.
I started getting tunnel vision, that kind of thing. Not to make everybody.
This is just to prove have a backup plan.
Have a backup. So there's so much happened.
Aaron couldn't do anything, so I had to pack everything up. The kids were already in bed. I had to. Basically, he was curled over there in the couch. He couldn't move or do much, and couldn't even hardly talk to me about things.
So we're going down this mountain at 11 o'clock at night, trying to get to an emergency room, which was about an hour away.
Yes.
Because in this mountain boondocking, because there's like no power, no electricity.
Black. It's just pitch black. So even with the headlights, I'm like, yeah, it was scary.
So Brian's on his own, driving us down the mountain. So we get to the hospital, and immediately they take me in and they say, oh, it's your appendix. It has to come out now. To make a long, you know, I keep trying to say to make a long story short and keep on talking, but to make it shorter, I was taken in, my appendix came out, nothing went wrong, everything went right. I left the hospital on Monday morning. So everything went perfect.
We were there for about 5 days.
Yeah, because I couldn't drive. I couldn't be on the road afterwards, which was really good because we had to go through El Paso. That's a different story. The entire freeway system is being built there, and it's like going through an 8.0 earthquake, not a 6.0. What lucked us out was that when I was checked in, I was talking to the nurse that my family was in an RV and they were looking for a place to stay over while I was having my surgery. And she said, "Oh, we have hookups right over there in the parking lot." And I could see the RV from my bedroom window.
Yeah.
And that's where Brian and the kids were. And we didn't want to bring the kids into the hospital because that's just asking for trouble. So we just kept in touch.
I stayed in the RV for the whole 4 or 5 days, and Aaron just...
Well, I was only gone for one day. I went to I walked out of the hospital. They pushed me out in the wheelchair, and I walked up and walked across the parking lot into my house. And luckily we didn't have to have a fallback plan because this hospital was amazing in that they had hookups for an RV. They had electric, basically, is the hookup they had.
Yeah, which is good.
And that's all we needed. I mean, the hospital was perfectly fine with us staying there for a few days. And that was our fallback plan. And then we drove in a hurry to Houston because we have family there. And then my sister was there and she was able to help out with the kids, and we stayed there for 3 weeks for my recuperation. So that ended up working really, really well for us. And we did it ad hoc. What if something happens where things don't fall into place like this? Because everything magically fell into place for us during that little crisis.
It worked out.
It worked out so beautifully. It's kind of like a dream come true.
The hospital was really nice and cool. They gave us a place to park. We weren't too far from Texas, to go recuperate.
Yeah,
it worked out good.
In 2 days, we got to Houston from Las Cruces.
The surgery went well.
Everything went just stellar. As you know, life throws you bigger lemons than this, and you can't always make lemonade. I'm sorry. As we've traveled around for going on 2.5 years now, the inability to stop somewhere and actually not have an external force making you move to your next spot is weighing heavy, at least on our minds. One thing that has stressed us out is not having that place that we can call our own. We're fine with it just being a little rest stop that we're not going to have somebody just shoving us out.
So just a small lot of land.
Yeah, that we can hook up. One of the YouTubers that we've followed closely since before we started, Let's Junk More Journey. They're setting up a little plot of land in order to have that oasis away from, and it's funny because that's one of the reasons we wanted to sell the Class A, is to use those funds to diversify the way we do this a little bit more, because everything was into that Class A. It's a very expensive Class A, and just about all our funds are in it. And one of the things that the reason we did this and are making all these changes is because we want to feel like we have a sanctuary that we can go to. So we're trying to figure out that aspect of it, but we do know that at least for us it's important. You just never know what life is going to throw at you, and you don't want to be caught unawares. And right now we're very kind of floaty, and that's what we call sanctuary, and that for us has come to be quite an important part of our full-time RVing experience, is having a place that we can retreat to. It doesn't necessarily have to have a house in it for the most part, but we would like hookups of some sort, electricity, water for sure. So that's still on the drawing board, and we got to we haven't sold the Class A, by the way. So we got our own consignment, and it's looking really good. Hopefully we covered everything. Did we cover everything? Because we were learning all this stuff as we went on the road. So this is the recap.
Everything revolves around
having an address.
Having an address.
Unfortunately, life in our country is not really suited for nomads.
They don't like nomads.
I wouldn't say that. It's not suited. Yeah. You need an address.
Yes, you need an address.
It's amazing how many things you can't do.
They almost count you as homeless.
Yeah.
And you know how they do. If you're living in an RV, if you're a nomad, you're homeless. So they act like you can't have anything.
We've had to explain many, many times that no, we're not homeless. We just choose to live this way.
Right now it's registered how many million?
Over 1 million people in the United States RV full-time. The gamut of people that you meet that give you feedback on your adventure is pretty outstanding. You are so lucky to be able to do this. I'm waiting till blah blah blah. Everybody has a different story of why they're waiting. And then there's other people, I'm so sorry.
I know, they act like you lost everything.
And with 2 children.
Like without choice, like it wasn't our choice to do what we're doing. That, or they think that you're very lucky, and there's nothing.
Yeah, so and everything in
a lot of-
between. It's a lot of work to get to this point. I'm sure we've had to deal with a lot more stuff than we've talked about. And we're more than happy to have a conversation with you about it, especially in the comments below. Because if you have the question, chances are other people that are watching this have that question as well.
Yeah, so share it.
But we've had to deal with quite a few things. It's difficult to share them all after 2.5 years.
And I'm sure other things will come up too, but
yeah. If you're new to the channel and are not subscribed, please do so. Ring that bell so that you get alerted whenever we upload a new video.
that would be great.
I don't know what else to say. See
Hope
you
you're
next
enjoying
time.
the shows.
There you go. So I wanted to ask you questions about the pictures you drew. You want to go first?
First, I draw some pretty flowers, and then I draw the grass, the stem, and then I draw some of these lines over here. See?
I drew.
I drew, and then I drew some of these lines, drew some of these flowers, and then I draw a really beautiful wind, red wind.
Oh, red wind. I am so sorry. What's the blue? What's the purple?
The clouds. I use these.
The
on.
clouds are the purple. Got it.
Yeah, the blue sky, and then I draw some yellow sun.
That is beautiful. I love that picture. Axel?
I made that one.
What's that robot all about?
A picture robot. And these two, a boy and a girl. And this one's a time-telling robot. And this is a voice-telling robot.
Let's see.
Should I like write these down instead?
I don't know how to sit.
You're fine. You were fine last time. What, baby? You already done drawing your robot?
Draw all kinds of robots, big robots. Do they
And color them in.
I'll draw
So-
different colors, the wrong colors. I'll draw
Color? Okay.
because I don't have the right colors. I only have some.
I've lifted all.
Sorry.
What, baby?
I made this myself.
That's
baby.
pretty. You're done? Okay. We might have to start again.
Take two.
So. So that's the.
That's the lowdown of.
Hold on. Oh,
Look,
baby.
I had all the right colors for this one. And
You
I
draw
did.
his friend, I see.
The feet were a different color, the other color, because I didn't have it. So I just decided to draw the feet.
Go in and draw another big picture for us, okay?
Or draw a scene around those two fellas. They look kind of lonely on that page.
Give them some flowers to look at and smell. Okay? Ooh, flowers.
Oy vey.
Kids are fun.
Yeah.
You ran out of paper? Go in there. We'll come in a minute. We're coming.
Okay, that's stuff.
That's good. Good. That's
It's not
stuff.
paper.
That's storage. Keep going.
What did I call it?
Support.
No, support, yeah.
Support us. Not that kind of support. Sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
Subscribe, that kind of support.
Papa, this one had a drain.
Are you looking at the fly? It's just a fly.
It's a big one.
I know. This robot looks like...
Looks like you got hit by a truck. Go really draw a really big, nice.
Tighten it up,
robot.
baby. Come on.
That's beautiful, Emma.
Come here, baby.
Oh, that's
Oh, you
pretty,
did.
Emma.
That's good enough. I love it. I love it.
I added some dots. I added these dots.
Yeah.
I would
So it
like to
can
see
look
one sun up here.
And then grab another one because that way we can show these nice people a couple of your artwork.
One more.
Okay, one more.
I can only do this one for this one.
Gross fly.
So-
It's big enough that it'll show. It's not a pet. Oh, I'm like,
You look fine though. That people are just going to say, look, they're in Florida, they're sweating.
okay, so let's do our goodbyes.
Goodbye.
So,